So now that we have identified that people are in fact treated differently based on their various identities, we've also identified how and why that came to be, right? We've tracked our socialization through the cycle, right? Sometimes this means unlearning the ways that we've been socialized in order to kick us onto the cycle of liberation. Sometimes that means relearning different ways of being. But how do we know what to relearn? How do we know what to go to? A lot of people will refer back to kindergarten rules, right? Golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated. That's a good place to start. How would you want to be treated if you were in a certain situation? That's a pretty great place to start. I want to also provide some common language for us to be using this term and some frameworks of how we should be viewing our actions moving forward. And this will also hopefully help you figure out what actions you would want to see for your assignment when you're doing your cycle of liberation. So based on how you feel about responding to indifference and responding to inequality and unequal treatment. Yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. But basically the idea is we need to figure out how we should be re-socializing ourselves so that we are behaving in the way that is best for the most people. Sounds like a pretty good idea. So a lot of people will go to, well, equality, equal rights, yeah. So what equality means is that, looking at this image here, right? So the problem is that a game is going on, a sports game of some kind is going on, and we want to be able to see and experience the game, right? Well, equality says that everybody receives the exact same support or resources, right? So you've got three different bodies here, three different people. If they're all receiving the same support, that's equal treatment. Yep, that's equal treatment. But what are we noticing here in this image? Pause for effect. Now I'm feeling like Dora. What do we notice here? Do you see the inequality? I just want to get out of this house. All right, getting back on track. Equality. What do you see here? You notice that the different bodies, literally they're different sized bodies, some can already see over this fence that's blocking their view of the sports game. One of them, so there's a middle person, gets the box, the equal treatment. They get the box to help them, right? It boosts them the perfect amount and they can kind of see over into the sports game. Great. The last person, the person on the right, is a chair user, wheelchair user. And the box that was given as equal treatment doesn't do anything for them. How are they supposed to get onto the box? It's not even relevant to their life. So there's some issues with equal treatment and equal rights, right? Because every body and everybody are different. So then some conversations, stem from that. Then we get to equity. Okay, equity, yeah. And equity says each individual is given what they need for equal access, right? So it's not equal treatment, it's equal access, right? So each person in this diagram, right? So that's kind of the next step here. We notice that the person that could already see over the fence to the sports game doesn't need any extra supports. Good for them. They've got that privilege of already being able to see over the fence. The person that just needed a couple boxes to boost themselves to be comfortably over the fence, they've got that. And then our wheelchair user got a ramp, which is actually relevant to what they need to have equal access and equal viewing capabilities to the sports game. That's what equity is. So equality, so let's take a different scenario here. let's say the problem is people need shoes, right? Everyone needs shoes. That's a thing, right? Equality says, okay, everybody gets shoes. The problem that happens with that is that everybody gets a pair of shoes, but it's a size 11 stiletto, which, heck yeah, everyone's calves are going to be amazing, but what about the people that aren't a size 11? One. Also, what if you have to walk in grass? That's super annoying to walk in stilettos in grass. That's not very good. And it also doesn't go with every outfit, amongst other things. I'm just being silly here, but you get my point. So giving everybody the same shoe and the same size shoe is just like kind of silly for a lot of people. For like a couple people, it'll be great, right? And they'll be like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted a size 11 stiletto. Thanks. But like, equity says, okay, everybody gets a pair of shoes or shoes that work for them. And we're not even gonna, get more nuanced into like, what if people don't wear shoes, or like, what if people don't have feet? That's its own conversation. But in this metaphor, everyone gets a shoe that fits for them. Cool. It might still be a stiletto in some cases. In real life, it might still be a stiletto, but it's going to be in their size this time. So we got that going for us. Problem is that in reality, our world distributes resources like this image, where one person who would have already been able to see over the fence to the sports game gets 20, I don't like to count, 20 boxes. They've got like way more than they need to see over the fence. And then the person in the middle, like gets a box. They still have to kind of like strain to see over the fence, but like they get a box. It's cool. And then the people that are kind of the bottom of the hierarchy, that are the least advantaged in this situation, they don't even get anything. They're like in a hole. Like they have no hope of even getting above the fence. Now, how this plays out in like the larger world, and I might sneeze. It might happen. I don't know why pollen decided to come out right now. Like, read the room. It's not a good time for me to be like sneezing and stuff. I love spring. I love flowers. So good. Okay, so how this image plays out in the real world, that's where we're getting this whole like the diminishing middle class, right? Like there's just the middle class is going away. There's either like a few people that are in upper class society, right? Like billionaires that have way too much money, like way too much money, and then people that are like barely able to feed themselves, or worse, homeless, food insecure, all of the things. And like there's less and less people in the middle, and that's just getting farther and farther and farther apart, right? So then what do we do to get ourselves to something better, right? So beyond equality and equity, what if there wasn't even a fence? What if everyone was just included in the sports game? So I've also seen the liberation image to be that these characters or whatever are actually playing the game, so they're like dressed the same as the sports characters, and I like that version too. But what liberation means is that we're trying to break down the barriers that were there in the first place, right? So that's what that cycle of liberation means, is like we're not just putting a band-aid, right? So equality situation, there we go, this one's good. So equality and equity are great, like better than nothing, right? Like, so that's a little bit better than nothing. Equity is more preferable than anything else, or than equality or anything less. But it's still a band-aid on the issue. The issue is still that there's a fence. The issue is still that there is a barrier to be engaged fully in the thing, right? Whether that thing is the sports game or whether that thing is society, right? In a happy and healthy life, in life in general for a lot of people. So liberation is talking about how do we break down the fence that was put up in the first place? Liberation is talking about why do we actually need relationship dynamics to be a part of government? Or one step further, why do we need one idea of a relationship to be the only thing that's recognized by government? And now we're like kind of getting there, right? So I would say that we're in the equality with marriage. So I'm keeping with my marriage situation. So we're like the equal rights, the same-sex marriage. Oh, look at equal rights. You can get married now just like us. La, la, la. Okay, couple issues there. What if nobody wants to get married? Like, what if someone doesn't want to get married? That's it. What if people are queer and trans or whatever and don't fit into some like stereotypes and definitions and labels that the government approves of? 3, where was I going with this? Oh, what if someone's less abled? What if someone is needing disability benefits, right? Disability benefits as in public assistance, right? So financial support from the government, right? So what happens with that is that if folks that are disabled get married, they are now in a different tax bracket and they no longer qualify for disability. That sounds pretty limiting because it's not like getting married makes the disability go away. Interesting, government. You could probably not do that. That'd be great. So there's a lot of issues there with, oh, everyone can get married now. Okay, but I can still get fired for being gay. Like, that's totally a thing still. And our Supreme Court is still talking about if we can get fired for being gay. Like, why are we still talking about this? Rant. Rage. Rage and rant. So when you're thinking about your cycles of liberation that you're creating, think about what is the fence, right? What is that barrier in the first place? And what would it take to eliminate that barrier? What would it take to just eliminate the fence? Because that's what the ultimate goal is. And so while we don't know what the future is, right? We don't know. We have to act as though liberation is possible. And we have to act like we are going towards that goal, that common goal of liberation. That like, why was there even a fence? Like, why does it matter? Like, we're all just hanging out, doing our best, trying to be okay. And I'm also curious if you've got some other ideas. Like, what are some, if you've got other ideas of maybe we can take it a step beyond liberation. What's beyond that? Use your imagination. Oh, I'm so excited. That's my cat knocking things over. Excuse me, teaching assistant. Excuse me. This is not how you earn your pay. Stormageddon Applesauce would also like you to know that equity means like all the kitties don't get the same food because that doesn't work for everybody's belly, right? Because you don't have kidney issues like your sister does. Don't bite. You don't have kidney issues like your sister does, and I know you want what she has, but it doesn't work for your body. And so we do equitable food distribution in this house. So you have your own food. And if you could just eat just your own food, that would be really great. Stop biting. See, this is why she's not in charge of grades. Yeah. What is your example of equality, equity, and liberation? I want to know. I want to know. And I also want to stop recording. Bye.